one of the things that I find interesting, I suppose, about intuition and how it works, I know how it works with me, and I very much live an intuitively led life at this point, which I really enjoy. But a lot of people that I talk to have a really hard time using their intuition in their life and trusting it. It really comes down to trusting it. And so I thought that's what I would talk about, is why it's tricky for people often to listen to and trust and use their intuition. So one of the reasons, I got three reasons that I've come up with. And the first one is that how your intuition shows up for you may not be what you expect it to be. I found for me that intuition often shows up in really small ways, but throughout my day, it's part of my life, and it's like ever present almost. And I think a lot of people expect their intuitive knowings to show up in like huge flashy ways, because that's what we're like taught in terms of pretty much, anything that it's big flashy something is happening. I mean, even if something like mediumship, you think of mediumship, and most people now will think of like the Long Island medium, who is lovely in her way and also kind of bold and loud and very much, a personality, going up to people on the street, giving them messages. And that's just not usually how it works for most of us, which is okay. And so intuition doesn't often show up with a big flashbang kind of thing either. So one example is I had to take one of my kids to a doctor's appointment this morning, and it was when was it actually for? It was for 9:30 was our check-in time, and 9:45 was the appointment. And I got worried suddenly yesterday, the day before, going, oh God, I'm going to be late for my for this call that I'm doing at noon, because the appointment's, it's 10:30, 10:45. What if we're not back in time? And I had to go, no, Joanna. So I looked at my calendar. I was like, no, it's for 9:30. But it kept coming up for me that it wasn't, that it was an hour later. So we got to the appointment. We actually got there early, which is practically unheard of for me, but it's just happened with our timing, and we didn't have time to go to, Target and do anything else, and would have run late then. So we got there early, and we waited. We did not get seen until about an hour after our actual appointment time. So what I was getting was exactly right. Our appointment was actually going to be at 10, I think it was 10:40 by the time we actually saw the doctor. We waited so long. It was really frustrating. And I also knew that I was going to be fine for doing this call at noon today. And so it's a little thing like that. During the meditation, I knew that my phone was going to start vibrating, so I tried to sneakily grab it from my desk and put it on silent, because it was on vibrate before, but it was on silent. About 30 seconds later, I got a notification. So it's little things like that you just get this, for me, often. Sometimes it's big things, sometimes it really is big things, but very much in my everyday life, it's the little things, it's the nudges, this is going to be an hour late, you're about to interrupt your own meditation with your phone that you forgot to silence. Somebody's going to call, you're going to get something in the mail, a lot of it is little things, not huge big things. And so I think a lot of us get intuitive nudgings and information, or we get it in ways that we don't expect it. We expect it to be like this big knowing, but maybe we feel it in our heart center, and we get intuitive information when we meet people. We know whether they're trustworthy or not. We know if we're drawn to them or not. We feel it maybe with our bodies, but we're expecting it to show up in some other way, and so we discount it. The second reason is around fear, and why you have fear tied into your intuition. And I found that for a lot of people, this is tied into your early life. A lot of people who are the sensitives of the world, sometimes they call themselves highly sensitive people, or empaths, or intuitives, the people that just know that they are sensitive to other people's emotions and what's going on with others, the energy around them, is because they often had an early training ground in their childhoods where they had to learn how to take the energetic, emotional temperature of a room or of a person, to know if it was safe to go in the room, or know if it was safe to be around certain people, or in, what states that they were in. And so often this is people who have grown up in dysfunctional or abusive homes, who have had to who have used their intuition, their empathy as a survival mechanism, essentially, to try and navigate through and see who's safe, see who's not safe. Is it okay to say this thing now or not? And they've kind of honed those skills in some ways. But unfortunately, they've still had really difficult experiences. Bad things have still happened to them in their lives, even though they've had this intuitive sense, even though they've known a certain situation perhaps was dangerous. When you're a kid, you can't necessarily do anything with that information. You might be going, oh my God, this is bad, and then this thing still happens to you. And I found that causes a rift in your relationship with yourself and your trust with yourself and with your intuition. And so you begin to not trust it because you got this information and it kind of didn't do squat for you in some ways. Like, this bad stuff still happened, and it all gets kind of mixed up together. And I know for me, I have learned the wrong lessons from things that have happened in my life in terms of what I have then gone on to believe about myself or life, my worth, things like that. And I'm still untangling some of those things. I was in a car accident a few weeks ago, and I was journaling about it and asking, so, is there a lesson here for me? Because I'm a good student. I want to learn the lesson, right? And, what's kind of going on here? What's going on beneath here? I want to figure this out. And what I got was this false belief I had about myself in terms of what I deserve. Because I'm thinking, I'm working so hard on my health. I'm going to the gym 3 times a week. I'm doing all the right things. And I'm in this accident, I don't deserve it. Or maybe I do deserve it. And I realized I have all this stuff kind of tangled together that has no business belonging together. Like, my self-worth, my deserving of a good life or health or anything, has nothing to do with the things that happen to me. Sometimes things just happen. And it's no reflection on me or what I'm doing right or wrong or what I deserve or don't deserve. And so that's what I mean by kind of and somewhere long ago, somehow, from one of the things I experienced, or more than one, these things got enmeshed together. And the same is true for your intuition, that because difficult things, bad things, traumatic things still happened, even though you were doing everything that you possibly could to protect yourself and survive, you mistakenly learn to not believe and not trust your own intuition. You're also taught, we are taught to listen to outside authority and not listen to our inner selves. And especially if you were growing up with people who are dysfunctional around you, they are not teaching you to listen to your heart, to listen to your inner self, to trust yourself. They're too busy covering up their own pain and often, perpetuating that cycle on you to be anything but, the authority or that kind of thing. And so you become disconnected from yourself. And so the third thing I have, I suppose it's not really it's what you do about it, how you begin trusting yourself and your intuition again. And so you have to rediscover your relationship with yourself and rebuild that trust, rebuild the trust in that relationship that you have with yourself. That's how you begin to reconnect and stop being disconnected. And there are ways that you can do that, because I know it's easy to say, just trust yourself again. And it's not that easy. I get that it's not that easy. Because what I've learned is that your relationship with your intuition, it is a relationship like any other relationship. It builds, that trust builds over time. It's not something that you just, you make a decision to do it and to work on it and to trust it. But even so, it still needs, there's steps, there's repeated actions that you need to take. Just like if I met somebody for the first time, or even the first time you meet me, you might go, oh, I like Joanna. She seems pretty cool. I like her energy. I like her purple hair, that white, superhero streak. That's kind of awesome. And you might get a good feeling. Hopefully you get a good feeling towards me. It's okay if you don't as well, but hopefully you do. But still, we need to establish trust and build trust. And you do that over repeated interactions with me, that we make an appointment and I show up at the time that I say I'm going to show up. During the appointment that we have, I'm kind to you, or I'm compassionate with you. I listen to you. I provide you useful information and feedback. Then, the next time we interact, or I send you my newsletter, and my newsletter is helpful, and you go, oh yeah, I like Joanna. And we kind of continue to build that relationship. It's the same with building that trusting relationship with yourself, or with anybody else in your life. So you're dating somebody. It says repeated interactions. Are they kind? Do they bring you soup when you're sick? Do they, show up for your dates? Do they call you? Do they return your texts? Do they, send you sweet cards every so often? Whatever it is that you're looking for, does that happen? So some tools, briefly, in terms of things that you can do to help build that trusting relationship with yourself. So unsurprisingly, meditation is a great one. How many will I have a sip of tea? I got a frog in my throat. I don't want to sound horribly froggy. So especially mindfulness meditation, because mindfulness brings you into the present moment. And you have to be in the present moment to access your intuition or your gifts, your divine gifts, and because that's when they happen. That's when the energy is there. It's in the present moment. It's not when you're thinking of the past or projecting into the future. It's when you're right here, right now. So meditation, being with your breath. There's all kinds of different things you can explore in mindfulness meditation, which I found really helpful for myself in terms of developing my own gifts and using them. Because it teaches you that, like I said, that being in the present moment, as well as focus and clarity. And also for me, it's been a great sense of allowing whatever it is that's coming up within me to be there. There's no resisting it. There's no pushing it away. You allow it. The difficult emotions, the uncomfortable things, you allow them. There's space for them. You're big enough for all of those things, to experience all of those things and stay present. So journaling is another tool that I like, especially what I would call depth journaling, or other people will call expressive journaling. I just bought literally a stack of books about expressive journaling. I've used depth journaling, journaling about difficult emotions, the ones that we often suppress or repress, like anger and fear, shame, worry, anxiety, those kinds of emotions that we often try to tamp down because we either don't know how to deal with them, haven't been taught, we're explicitly taught to repress them, or we want to be like good people, and good people don't get angry, nice people don't get angry, but yet we still have these emotions because they're part of the human experience. And so journaling about them can be really helpful because it helps you uncover unconscious patterns, thought patterns, beliefs, behavioral patterns that you've been doing or using in your life, and it allows you to discover those and bring awareness to them. And it's only once you have some awareness around them that you can do anything about it and go, oh, hey, wait, that's actually not true. I should maybe stop believing that about myself or about life. Another tool is healing the wounds of your past. Finding, I guess it's not really a tool in the sense that you have to find other tools to do this, because we're not taught very well how to heal from loss and grief and hurts. We're taught how to carry them around, and we pile them on really well, but we're often not very good at actually releasing them and resolving them. And so it's finding the things that work for you. The method that works for me, and this is not an infomercial, I swear, is the grief recovery method that I became certified. I'm a certified grief recovery specialist. And it's really about healing from loss. It's not really about, you can use it to heal from the grief from death or divorce, but you can also use it to work with your relationship with your health, or difficult relationships with people who are alive, or all kinds of different ways, any of the losses that you've experienced in your life. And so whatever it is that works for you to actually really heal those losses, go for it. Do those things, whatever they are. And then the fourth way of rebuilding that trust with yourself and with your intuition is following the little hunches that you get in your life. When that inner voice speaks up, to take a moment. This is how meditation is helpful, because you know how to take a moment, take a breath, be in the present moment, and go, oh, I'm getting information. And then allow yourself to follow it, okay? Just allow yourself to, whatever it is, like, just notice it. So like I was like, oh, this appointment's an hour later. That one only made sense to me, in retrospect. I'm like, well, that's why I thought it was. But like muting my phone, I got a little, you need to mute your phone, Joanna. And instead of just brushing it off, I'm going to mute you for a moment, Marta. I'll unmute you at the end, okay? Instead of brushing it off, I followed it. I could have not followed it. Like, it didn't, like, so following it didn't do anything bad in my life. I just followed it. And then I got a confirmation, oh, that was a good idea. So it could be what you choose to wear that morning. You could say, what color should I wear today? And just whatever color feels brightest to you, put that color on. It could be, what music should I listen to? What food should I eat? What TV show should I watch tonight? If you get that little like hunch or feeling to call a person or reach out or email somebody or connect with somebody in some way, just follow it. You don't need anything to happen. Like, don't do it with a need that you're going to have this specific outcome because of it. Just do it because it builds that trust in that relationship. So that is what I wanted to talk about today. How to, what stops you from using and trusting your intuition, and some ideas of ways that you can start rebuilding that trust with yourself.